This comment from Scottie Barnes proves that he is built different, as he's been receiving a ton of criticism as of late for settling for threes, not attacking the rim well enough. Well, last night, he just silenced everyone with his performance on the court and had some interesting comments in regards to the whole situation after the game. So we'll discuss that, including Jakob Poeltl diving into some really interesting insights as to this year's trade deadline, the behind-the-scenes stuff that's going on, and frankly, gave some really exciting perspectives on his future with the Toronto Raptors organization, but more importantly, how this team is moving, how this team is pushing forward into getting back into that playoff contention. So we're going to dive into all of that in this video. But before we do, folks, I want to thank you guys again. Hit that big milestone that we've been chasing for a while now at this point, 37,000 subscribers. So appreciate every single one of you. But guys, we're not slowing down whatsoever. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on with the Toronto Raptors, we're delivering daily, twice a day coverage out here on the Toronto Raptors. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing that's going on with this Raptors team. But let's dive into the news. Let's dive into what's happening as Jakob Poeltl addressed some of the trade reports. We'll talk about the Scottie Barnes stuff later in the video, but Big Yak, of course, was a name that a lot of people around the NBA thought could be a trade piece for the Toronto Raptors this year. Of course, being in a rebuild, being a little bit older and things that are happening, the young guys out here on this team. And given the fact that he'd command serious value, there was a lot of rumors, reports circulating that he could potentially get traded. Of course, that did not happen, and I could be happier that it didn't happen because this team ended up making a push to where we are back, looking to have a legitimate squad, a legitimate team out there in the Eastern Conference just next season, and Jakob Poeltl is a crucial piece to that. But Yak did have some interesting comments regarding the whole trade scenario, the future of the Raptors, out there in an interview from an Australian interviewer. So it was a really cool interview. I pulled this from Reddit. Shout out to Apprehensive Ego for translating this and aggregating and putting it all together. But basically, the comments, we'll break down some of the highlights of the comments as Jakob Poeltl was asked, do you see the rumors as a sign of appreciation or do you not need that to feed your ego? He said, I don't need it for my ego, but it's always a good sign when there is interest. It means you're doing something right. However, in this situation, I couldn't be happy about it. I prefer stability. I want to know where I stand. There's a project in Toronto that I'm a part of. I've been working on it for a while, and I want to continue. The Raptors have said they plan with me. So this is great to see because, firstly, there were some comments, there were some rumblings that, especially in the offseason, Jakob Poeltl did not want to be a part of a long-term rebuild, and it makes sense. He's 30 years old. He's been on some rebuilding teams out there in the past. The Spurs have been pretty bad for his entire tenure. Then he comes into the Toronto Raptors, and they trade away all the guys that are around his age. Jakob Poeltl was pretty outspoken that he doesn't want to be on a team that's actively losing, actively sucking for multiple years to come. But those were all comments that seem to be addressed, and those comments seem to be, relieved out there for Big Yak in terms of the moves the Toronto Raptors have made, in the past year, whether it's not, even though we're in a rebuild, acquiring young pieces, young talented pieces that are about to take the leap rather than future draft picks that might convey out there in 2029, right? It's more of a win now rebuild, so to speak. And then that, of course, got expedited with Brandon Ingram getting thrown out there. So it's nice to see Jakob Poeltl, of course, wants stability, but is very happy about being in Toronto, wasn't eager to get traded or anything along those lines. But he was also asked how it all sort of impacted him. And he says, of course, it does impact me. It determines where I live and where I play basketball without me having much say in it, but it does not help to overthink it. If I let the rumors drive me crazy, I'll feel worse. I try to ignore it. As the trade deadline approaches, you hope to stay, but you also have to be ready for anything. That's the NBA. Then the interviewer asked him about the wild comments from Dennis Schroeder. You can read that there. And Jakob Poeltl kind of had a PC answer, basically saying, yeah, if you get traded often, it's very tough. You're a part of a big machine that's getting moved around. I would also prefer to stay where I play, have a say in where I play, like in soccer, but that would require fundamental changes to the NBA system. I don't see that happening anytime soon, and I doubt it would be teams would be happy about it. So yeah, just doubling down on how happy he is to be with the Toronto Raptors, happy he didn't get traded at this year's deadline, which is something that's great to see. And then he was asked about the Toronto Raptors acquiring Brandon Ingram. What can the fans expect? And Poeltl said, it's a signal the team wants to improve as quickly as possible. With Ingram, they've added a scorer, an all-star caliber player who can really help us offensively. We already have Scottie Barnes, our primary scoring option, but he's an all-around player, a playmaker, a very aggressive on defense. With Ingram, you give him the ball and he makes things happen. He could fit in really well with us. So Big Yak is very, very happy with the direction of this team. He's happy he's on this group. And I like that the Masai Ujiri is out there communicating with Jakob Poeltl through all the rumors, through all the noise, that he is still a crucial anchor to this Raptors team, to this Raptors defense, and everything that we are building here. So nice that he feels appreciated. He wants to stay, even though, the initial sell to Jakob Poeltl might have taken a little bit of a detour in order to build this roster, but pumped that everyone's bought in and ready to go with this squad now. Everything is happening, but we also have to address some very interesting, intriguing comments from Scottie Barnes, as this comment proves this man is built different. As Scottie Barnes, of course, is a guy that, he's an emotional player. He gets a lot of stuff going, and he's still developing. The man is 23 years old. We can take a look at his stats. Right, Scottie averaging this season 20 points per game, 8 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and the one blimp, the one thing that is a bit concerning for Raptors fans out there in terms of his development is the three-point shooting percentage, shooting only 27% from behind the three-point line, and recently he's been shooting them at a higher volume, and that led, I saw it in my comment section, I saw it from everywhere in terms of criticism getting thrown the way of Scottie Barnes. Now, I made a whole video on how I think, even though people hate it, it needs to happen. It's a huge positive for this team that Scottie Barnes is shooting up threes, even if they're not going in at the highest percentage right now. But Scottie Barnes felt the need to remind people who he is out there in recent games. And before he said anything, because we'll break down his comments and everything that went on there, Scottie Barnes proved everyone out there on the basketball court just who he is the most recent game against the Philadelphia 76ers, who were relatively healthy. He had 33 points, only took 2 3-point shots, was getting to the basket, got 15 free throws, and 10 rebounds. Just played with a level of aggressiveness, of intensity that really showed through out there in the stat line, out there from the eye test in the game, and he was just cooking the Philadelphia 76ers. And of course, this came on the back of a game where he really struggled out there with a shot, took 8 3-point shots, looked a little bit passive out there for certain possessions. So it's, what's going on? What's happening? Is it strategy? What's going on? Well, Scottie Barnes addressed all of these concerns and comments in a recent postgame interview describing that I was watching something from Matt Bonner on how I couldn't go to the rim, how I can't get past people. So I think that motivated me. So Scottie Barnes, just like the all-time greats, someone comes out and says something to you, you take it a little bit personal, you take it a little bit to heart, and you just want to silence everybody. And of course, obviously Matt Bonner was the guy that was initially addressed in these comments, in this sort of discourse and things like that. But this is something getting thrown around a ton from Raptors social media, different places. So I'm sure Scottie Barnes heard all the noise, and Matt Bonner kind of caught the stray as the main outlet in terms of what was being said, what was kind of going on there. But it's great to see Scottie Barnes. Even though I still want him to take threes, I want him to develop that three-point shot so he can become that superstar level player. But it's nice to see on any given night he can really lock in, do what he does best, slash in the basket, get into the rim, being that unstoppable force, given his size, his frame, his body control, and everything that he has out there in his bag. Do the things that can really, really sets him apart. Really wanted that rookie of the year. Just, set him apart as a basketball player. So loving that mentality from Scottie Barnes. Try to silence the doubters, silence the haters the same way. I don't think Matt Bonner's a hater of Scottie Barnes. I don't watch the Raptors show that much, but it's great to see that that's all what's happening. So lots of exciting stuff happening here for the Toronto Raptors. Let me know what you guys think about all of this Toronto Raptors news out there in the comment section below. Anyways, you guys best make as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.